Hey Stampers, it's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and today I'm here to show you another project using the brand new Stampin' Up! Best Catch and Coordinating Catch of the Day Thinlits. This is a great set in the Occasions catalog right now because it can make some really great masculine cards for birthday, thinking of you, or for Father's Day. And I'm going to show you how to make a card in a box today. So this card actually folds flat and it will fit into an envelope, and then it pops open, and it's probably a little hard to see, but it does stand on its own. And then like I said, it will fold flat right into an envelope. You want to make sure, I did get my fish on this one a little bit high, so the one we make today, I'll make sure that it's below the base of the card, otherwise it will not fit into the envelope to mail. But here's the project, and it's called a card in a box. Sometimes you'll see them square. I made this one today rectangle, just for a little bit of change. So let's get started and I'll show you how to create this. I'm going to go over the supply list first, just so that we can have everything ready. And I will have this up on my blog as well, over at stampitwithdebbie.blogspot.com, and I'll have a link to that below. This is a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock cut at 11 by 4 1/4. Then I also have an insert for the inside for the pieces to hold on to, and that piece is 1 inch by 4 3/4. And we have a couple pieces of designer paper, and we're going to use, it's the 6 by 6 stacks out of the annual catalog. So one side is polka dot, one side is striped, so we're going to use a little bit of both of those. And these polka dot ones are cut at 2 1/4 by 3 1/2, so you need 2 of those, and 1 1/4 by 2 1/4, and you also need 2 of those. The striped pieces are going to be 3 1/2 by 3, 3 1/2 by 1 1/2, and 2 pieces at 1 1/4 by 1 1/2. And then I did go ahead and cut out some of the other little pieces that you'll need for the inside. This is one of the framelits or thinlits, and that's some cattails. I also cut out this bag and the little hat, and a couple of the fish in balmy blue, and here I'm using soft suede, and then a couple fish, and I'm going to show you how I colored the fish today. So let's put this aside because we do need to do a little bit of scoring. So I'll put the pieces aside. We need to get our scoring tool. And we're going to take the small piece, and I already did this one, but I'll just show you anyways. We're going to score at 1/2 inch and 4 1/4. And that's the only thing there we need to score. On this piece here, we are going to score at 2 1/2 on the short edge, which is the short edge here. That'd be the 4 1/4 side. And on the 11 side, we're going to score at 3 3/4, 5 1/4, 9, and 10 1/2. And that's it for scoring. Now we need our paper snips. And you'll notice when we scored at the 2 1/2 mark, one of the edges is longer and one is shorter. This shorter side is going to be our top piece, just so the flaps don't hang down too low and it makes our card a little bit taller. So we're gonna, where we made this 1/2 inch score at the end, we're gonna cut the top piece off of here. So your piece is going to look like this. You're going to leave this. This is going to be the tab that will hold our card together. Now, again, on the shorter side, we need to cut down those score lines. And then we want to use our bone folder so that we get a good crease all the way around. And we want to fold these parts back because eventually those will go back. All right, now we need to, oops, I forgot one piece there. So we are going to put this little flap here, you can see, is folded down, and we're going to put some adhesive there. I'm going to use some tear and tape because when you do a box or another project that's going to have a lot of tugging and pulling with it being opened and closed, you're going to want something that's very strong. So snail won't work. You could use Tombow liquid adhesive if you choose. Okay, that's got the adhesive. Now you're just going to bring this side over and put it straight down, and your box is now formed. So these pieces are going to go down, and when I make mine, I always like that little tab piece to be to the back, but it really doesn't matter a whole lot because we are going to put some adhesive over that, or a piece of designer paper. Now we want to insert our piece. Is going to go just like this. Hopefully you can see that. We're going to put it here so when we put the pieces inside, it has just a little more dimension. So on this, I am going to use the Tombow multi-purpose adhesive. And we're going to just place that right inside. And with the multi-purpose adhesive, you do need to hold it for a minute, just to make sure that it's very secured. And it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit crooked in there or if it's not exactly to the top. So there's that piece there. Now we want to take, again, our our striped piece, which is polka dot in the back. This piece here is 3.5 by 3. And we're going to place adhesive on the back of that. This piece is going to just give our card a little bit of strength to keep this back piece up. So where the back is, again, I like my tab to be there. Just want to leave a nice border all the way around. And you're going to put that in there. Now this piece that does have the score line won't fold down, but it's still able to fold up when you go ahead to mail your card. And then we're going to put these pieces right here on the side. The other one I made was soft suede, and I did stamp the fly fish hook there, but I decided to make this one just a little bit different. So we'll put that down. And then one more piece of the striped part is going to go right here on the front. Now we have the polka dot pieces. So we're going to turn those over so we can put adhesive on those. And I like to put adhesive on all three, but if it makes your projects get too sticky and stuck together, you can just do one at a time. Okay, now I'm going to put those on the bottom of the box. Just because it just adds a little bit more texture to the card, I think. So we'll work our way all the way around. Now here is where if you wanted to put a little to and from, you could write it there. Okay, so that part is done. Now we do need to do a little bit of coloring. I've stamped the fish stamp, which is a beautiful image of the fish. And I'm using the Stampin' Blends markers, and I have already colored this fish with light seafoam. Now I'm going to use the light old olive, and I just want to color the top part of the fish and a little bit of his bottom fins, just to add a little bit of blending color to him. And I'm going to go over just a little bit, and I'll show you in a minute just why I'm doing that. So I'm going to do this flipper here, fin, flipper, and these down here. And if you haven't seen the blends markers from Stampin' Up, they're fabulous. They come in a light and dark for many of the colors, not all of the colors. And you don't have to blend, say, the light olive and the dark olive. Today I'm going to blend the soft seafoam and the olive. So where I went over a little bit, I'm just going to go in a circular motion and bring some of that old olive color up into the soft seafoam. It just blends it a little bit, and so you don't have a sharp line when you're going from one color to the next. And it won't hurt your marker at all. They're alcohol-based markers. Also, just in case you didn't know, these blending markers can be used to color on any glass, plastic, or any other surfaces, and they will dry quickly. So like buttons, if you had buttons or pearls or rhinestones, you could color to make it a color to match your card exactly. Now we need to cut this out. And I'm going to bring my Big Shot in. Along with the Thinlit. And just run it through very carefully so the Thinlit doesn't shift while it's going through. And we do have 3 fish in this project. I did, just to save a little bit of time, I did cut and color the other 2. So here we have 3 of them. The first thing we need to do before we start assembling here, I did take all of the cattails and the grass, and I used one of my markers, the soft suede, and I wanted to color the cattails in. You could also run the framelit through one more time and use it like an espresso, one of the darker colors, and make another piece and then glue it on there just to give it a little more dimension, but I just colored mine in. So those pieces are ready. Now when I'm placing the items inside, I want to kind of stagger them a little bit. So I'm going to start by putting this piece here, and again I'm going to use my liquid adhesive. And this is the Tombow adhesive. I've just taken it out of its original container because this has a really small point and it lets me get the adhesive right exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to put this one off to this side, and again remember, don't let it go over the top of the base of the card. If you wanted your card to be able to have pieces that stick up, just make the base down here a little bit shorter, and then you would be able to let them hang up over the card if you wanted to. I'm going to take this fish and I'm going to put this one off to this side, and again keeping in mind the edge of the card. So what I'm saying as far as going over, like this here measures 4 1/4. So if you wanted something to go just 1/4 inch, measure your card at 4 inches. Cut it out at 4 inches. Then it would give you a more little leeway to be able to fit in the envelope. If you're not putting it in an envelope and you're just giving it to someone, then you could make it whatever size you choose. Now this one here, I want to, since I put that one there, I want to put this one off here at the edge. So now this, you're just going to put a little bit of adhesive here and then I tucked it to the back side. It's kind of hard to show you, but the back side of that insert that we put in. Now I'm going to use this bag piece and I'm going to adhere it to the front of that insert piece. It's very important when you're making a card in a box to not get adhesive outside of the lines anywhere and only put it exactly where you need it, because if you get it anywhere outside, when you fold your card and you go to mail it, the adhesive is going to dry and stick your card together. So you want to make sure not to do that. The next thing that I want to do is I want this next fish to be right here in the front. So I'm going to put the fish on first, and I'll put the grass behind it. So I'm just going to put a little adhesive on the fish's tail. Oh, I want to make sure, I want his tail to stick up just a little. So I'm going to just hold it right here for a minute and let the adhesive dry. And now I can take this piece, because I'm going to put adhesive here because I'm just going to tuck it right back behind the fish. Okay, so we're going to hold that piece in. Hopefully you can see that okay. So now we've got the back part done, the center part done, and this part here done. We have one more fish that we're going to put in. I like to work in odd numbers. That seems to work really good when making projects. Now I have this fish, and I know it's going to be really hard to see, but I have a little piece of window sheet, and that's cut at 1/4 inch by 2 inches. You do not want it to be much longer because that tab that we put in there, again, if you have the adhesive going down, it is going to seal your card together. I'm using tear and tape, the same thing that we used to put our box together. And that's how it adhered it here on the back of the fish. So now I have a piece. It's real close in size, but you just want to make sure that none of the edge, so I peel the backing off, and I'm just kind of rolling it over itself so that it's all within this piece of window sheet. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to see that. You don't want it hanging over at the bottom or the sides. Now, we're just going to, this fish, I'm going to see if I can show you, is going to go on the back of the insert. Let me point with my bone folder. The back of the insert right here. And once you put it in, you're going to have to kind of squeeze it together. So I just want this one to be kind of popping up a little bit, but of course I need to make sure it's not going to go over the top of the card. There we are. That looks good to me. And then that tear and tape, just make sure at the bottom down here that it's really good and secured. And I can feel mine is hanging over a little, so I'm going to cut that off later. I won't do it right now. Now we need to stamp our greeting, and on this one I put "For You, Dad," so this card could easily be used for Father's Day. But let's say you want to give this to someone for a birthday, or you're just thinking about them. We're going to use the greeting that says "It's your day." So I'm stamping that on a piece of scrap Whisper White cardstock that's cut at 3/4 inch. And I just stamped that right in the, that one looks a little crooked. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that one more time. It's hard to do it when you're on camera because you can't see right over it. I'm going to use my paper snips one more time. And I'm going to make a banner, so I'll just cut up here at the edge, cut into it, and cut into it. Now this piece will attach here. We can use any adhesive we choose. We could use the liquid or something else. So I'm going to put that here. And then I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of this hat that I cut out. It's here, so I stamped it with the stamp and then I ran it through the Big Shot. And there's the hat. And then the last thing that I want to do is put a couple of these fish. That there is no stamp that coordinates with these, but you can cut these out in any color you choose. And here I cut them out in balmy blue. And I just put them right on there. Now you could decorate the sides too if you choose. And there are the 2 card in a box that will easily fit into any size, or I'm sorry, an A2 envelope. If you enjoyed this video today, I hope that you will join me again. And if you click the subscribe button right now, you will get notifications when I create another video. Join me over on my blog at stampitwithdebbie.blogspot.com. and there will be written directions for this if you missed any of the measurements. And I hope again that you will subscribe so that you never miss a video. Thanks for watching today.